the creator accused put up a video on their thoughts, and I haven't watched it yet. There it is. It's 3 minutes and 45 seconds. It's super fast. So I think let's watch that.
Hey everyone. I want to address the current allegations and stances being taken against me and the Icy Veins collaboration. I was recently approached by some of the Icy Veins staff to be featured on their website for the month due to my educational streams, the rework on Paladin, as well as my ongoing partnership that started with Icy Veins in 2021 while I was writing and creating guides for tanks, endgame fights, as well as streaming on their Final Fantasy XIV Twitch channel alongside other FF community figures.
So he wrote this because he wanted to be really precise, because like my biggest issue, so he's showing a script, which I think makes it really clear, like he is reading from the script, but that's because I think he wanted to be really clear on word choice, because I think word choice matters. There have been people in this conversation that have been using the word embed and view botting interchangeably, and they are not interchangeable terms. There are times that embedding is being abused, making it a 1 pixel by 1 pixel muted stream. Nobody even knows it's there. They can't close the window, because if you close the window, just like closing an ad, that website stops getting paid for that ad, that stream stops getting that view. But if you don't know it's there, like that stuff starts to be really manipulative. That's not what he was doing. What he was doing is on icyveins.com. And if you go specifically to the Final Fantasy XIV category, they were featuring streams like his, not exclusively his, so that just like sometimes when you're on a website, it says, would you like to chat with someone? And it pops up. It says you can go down, like you could come here and ask this person a question. And he said when I stopped by his stream that people have come to his stream and said, hey, I was just on the Final Fantasy XIV website and I had a question about something I was reading. Some of the other creators that have been embedded, my understanding is they only want to be embedded within the categories they felt like they were Icy Veins levels of experts on. And so maybe you feel like you only know Fizz Ranged, or you only know a specific job, that only those pages would you be whitelisted for. So you should never see Ren Karagani on like Wrath of the Lich King Classic, that it was specifically meant to be a partnership with the areas he writes guides. And so imagine you had a question about this video, or you had a question about this, and he was live. The idea is that his stream would be featured down here, and you could go here and ask the person that wrote the guide. That is all it was. It's not tricky. If I don't like it, I can close it. It benefits Icy Veins because he talks about Icy Veins. He wrote the freaking book, and they talk about him, so it's a back and forth. So it's not the view manipulation that view botting alleges that it is. So that's all it is. He had a chance to partner with them. They had a chance to partner with him. Two-way street. Everybody's benefiting. They're getting content. They are likely either not paying him nearly what they're collecting or not paying him at all. And then in trade, they're embedding his YouTube video, which means that anytime somebody clicks it, they don't get the ad revenue. He does. And so that does pay him. Or they're showing his stream. So then people see the hours that he is embedded versus the hours he's not embedded, keeping in mind that the embedding and the guides were all also timed at the right time. You're going to put out fresh guide updates, fresh videos. He's uploading to YouTube 365 times this year as a goal. And so when 6.3 drops, you're going to have sudden interest in what changed about tanks. You're going to go to your trusted guide maker for tanks, whether it's Ren or anybody else. You're going to go to that person. So all tank creators, it's a good day for them. They're all putting out updated YouTube videos. They're all talking about it on stream. They're all streaming extra. They're running the content that lets them test it. So they're prepping for Omega Ultimate right around the corner. We've got a deep dungeon coming later this patch. They might be running tanks through deep dungeon. It would be interesting to see that. This is a very, very good patch cycle to be an expert on in a tank. And so it would make sense for Icy Veins to make a big push to update all their information going into Ultimate. Here is why people get frustrated with this. So if I go out to twitch.com and I go to browse and I scroll down and I click on Final Fantasy XIV, it is naturally sorted viewer high to low, almost always. And so during the times that he's embedded, he is artificially higher, because there are people that are viewing him via websites other than twitch.com. This benefits Twitch.com because it makes them more likely to come over and become Twitch.com viewers. So that is why Twitch is okay with it. And so the embed is only valuable as a growth tool during the times that you're embedded. And so saying, hey, we agree to embed you for the first week that you publish a guide, because we get a lot of questions posted and we don't really know how to deal with it. It'll create a better customer satisfaction experience on the Icy Veins side of things if the threads you wrote are embedded to you while you and only you are live only for the week you publish, then guide weeks are really good for him. I imagine that if YouTube can feed this direct to me on a channel that's not monetized, and they just provide this in the dashboard, that if I were to go get this video embedded, this would rise, and that they would report that back to me, which tells me that Twitch, who is owned by Amazon, who also owns Amazon Web Services, and AWS is like a third of the backbone of the internet or something goofy, it's enormous, that they also know where the hell their traffic comes from. So, if they didn't want this, they wouldn't allow for it. And I imagine they are tracking it as a growth metric because it does directly lead. Those 4 views algorithmically tell YouTube, oh my God, this is viewable off channel. So as that number rises, that's very, very good for a YouTube video. And I bet it's very, very good for Twitch. So they do want that person to be benefited while they are embedding. So that is why Twitch is okay with it, but people don't like it because it feels disingenuous, because they see the number and they assume that many people are in that stream. And if they click on that stream, they will see that many people. And they won't, because they're not there. They are on another platform, and so they may not even have access to the chat feature. They may not want the chat feature. And in this case, they didn't even necessarily seek out that stream. They sought out information, in this case, on Gunbreaker from Final Fantasy XIV, and they were fed a written article with a link to a YouTube video and a live stream from a player that does Gunbreaker stuff. I also have to imagine if he was doing like Tales of Arise or something like that, that it would make sense that he would reach out to Icy Veins and say, hey, I know you normally link to my stream, but I'm going to be playing a different game Tuesday night. You should probably not embed me, because that's going to be weird if they click on the Gunbreaker thing and there's a guy playing Tales down in the corner. That doesn't make any sense. And so when you go look at his stats, here is the area that he was embedded. Right here. It was also the area that he began publishing to YouTube every day. So some portion of this would be due to that. It is also the area that there was brand new patch content. So the entire directory was up, especially the people who normally sit near the top of the directory. But what is odd about it is that if it was a disingenuous, manipulative embed, it would have benefited his views by the amount of search traffic that whatever website he embedded on, in this case Icy Veins, full time, 24/7, which means you would have a static number of bump the entire time. But when he switched to another game, it plummeted. Which means what it probably did was gave him a fraction of this. And remember, on Twitch.com, it's sorted from high to low. That put him near the top, which made him more discoverable to legitimate Twitch viewers. And then the rich got richer, and it snowballed. And the moment he left that directory, you can see that the embed is only really probably for a portion of it, or he pulled the embed down when it didn't make sense, which would mean that he's treating it really responsibly. There is only evidence that he's managing this in a way that he is trying to do right. He is trying to, my goal, if I'm speaking for Ren, I believe his goal is to educate people on how to play tank and be comfortable in high-end content in general. He just wants people to feel comfortable in the game and be better at it. He just wants to be a wholesome person that tells you everything he knows about tanks. And there are other people that know about tanks too, but he's just going to tell you what he knows about tanks. That's his goal. He wants to teach people ultimates. He wants to teach people their jobs. If they want to know, he just wants you to be better. So naturally, when a website that has a lot of visibility says, would you help us write the guides? He says, yeah. And when they say, hey, we'd love to feed that back into your stream so that your teaching and your teaching and your teaching are all linked. Yeah. So that is what the first section is about. It makes sense why he agreed to this. And that there is a version of the world where it didn't have to immediately be manipulative.
Prior to this, I didn't really have a whole lot of experience with embeds or how they counted towards analytics or really anything otherwise. I checked with a Twitch representative as well as Icy Veins staff to ensure that this met any TOS guidelines and that there would be no issue. and they said it was all good, but they were not.
Unbelievably responsible. Hey, this sounds like a really good thing. It almost sounds too good to be true. Why have I never heard of this before? This is brilliant. Why are more people not doing this? Why do I not hear about this discussed? Well, because people might get the wrong idea. And so a lot of people that embed don't make it wildly public that that's what they're doing, because while they know it's okay, they know that some people might see it the wrong way, so they just don't mention it. Links and embeds are how websites exist. The vast majority of websites are not using entirely their own material. It is not only hosted on that website. It is an amalgamation of things piled in from they're pulling in stuff from here, and they're pulling in stuff from here, and they're pulling in stuff from here. And if there's a video, it's almost always hosted by YouTube. And so technically when you click on it on the page, if you look in the corner, it'll have a YouTube logo, and that's because it's an embed. Embed technologies are incredibly lightweight ways to take resources from somewhere else and use those in the context of your website. But he said this seems too good to be true, so he checked with his Twitch rep. That's unbelievably responsible. That's the person that defends you should anything bad happen. Okay? And for context, I don't have a Twitch rep, so like, it's a great point of privilege that he has and that he used, because I don't have one. You got to be big. You got to be bigger. So you have to already be somebody that's more than capable of hitting the top of the directory sometimes entirely on your own. So he checked with his Twitch rep. I would have to reach out to just general partner support. And then he checked with Icy Veins. Have you guys done this sort of thing before? Yeah, do it all the time. You sweet summer child. This is how the internet works. You're fine. And he's like, okay, then I guess I just got invited to a party I didn't know existed. It's also about like how discoverable you are on your own, and when people see your name, are they likely to click? They don't just click random names. I think people know who Ren is. So when they go, wow, 1,000 people watching Ren, what's he doing? So it makes it more likely to click than 1,000 people watching this random person. Maybe I click that, maybe I don't, because honestly, on Twitch, I don't even always know if they speak the same language as me, so I don't click a lot of random streams because Twitch leaves them all in one big directory, and I am unfortunately not bilingual, and so I don't have the ability to enjoy streams that are put out in languages other than English.
None. There is a constant comparison that's being made towards viewbotting, which is a really destructive comparison to make, as one is a bannable offense against the terms of service using bots, while the other one is within the TOS and by definition acceptable with real users visiting a domain.
He is doing tank content inside Final Fantasy XIV while being featured as the person who wrote the article on a website talking about tanking in Final Fantasy XIV. And if you stop by, that's what you get. Or if you stop by and he's checking out some goofy new ad that Final Fantasy put out, and you say, hey, I have a tank question real quick if you don't mind. I've been in Rin streams enough to know that he would go, yeah, absolutely. We just finished this ad? Hit me up. I would love to talk about tanking with you. And so he is immediately an incredible live support tool for this. That's why I'm pro embedding. I do think there are people that abuse it. I do think there are people that go and if you could get yourself being a 1 pixel by 1 pixel on eBay.com, and so it's this massively trafficked website that has nothing, nobody sees you or hears you, and then all of a sudden you have 55,000 people watching you, and really you only have 6. Like, there's some lying in there somewhere, and I do think that since Twitch can track this, I would think that like ad incentive programs and stuff like this subtract out embeds, especially if those embeds can't be served ads, because the ad incentive program is cutting you in on what they would like to make off of ads, what they expect to make off of ads. And so if they're not going to be able to sell ads against your stream because you normally have 6 viewers, even though it says 55,000, they're probably going to pay you out like 6. I'd assume that. They have been incredibly opaque on how that number is calculated. It's why people get frustrated about it. There's no transparency. It doesn't say this is the current ad rate within the games you're playing at the time slots you play them for the demographics of the types of viewers that watch you from different parts of the world, because those have different ad rates. And based on that, here is the current CPM, a common industry term determining how much ad money will be generated by a per 1,000 views, per M, per milli. And based on that, we are going to multiply that by the number of hours we believe you will broadcast plus a little for the next month. and that is the theoretical cap you can earn. You will earn that on a per minute basis up to the cap of this many hours. Obviously, they show the biggest number. What if you did them all? But if you don't do them all, you collect partial money. And like, it would be really nice if it was that transparent. It's not. YouTube is. I can see the ad rates. I can see where they come from. I can see what they are in different countries. I can see the different search terms. And so I can start to break a lot of this down and say, hey, my guild making guides, because they have money-making themes and therefore money-making tags, titles, search terms, viewers, have a higher CPM around tax time in April in the United States, which is my typical majority viewer. It's like 40 to 60% depending on the video. And so therefore, it might make sense in March to consider making a bunch of guild guides if I already wanted to. And I can take that and that can become really actionable. Twitch has not done that. So what he's done is the most honest way to see how this works with no idea of how it works downstream because Twitch has chosen to hide that information.
For those of you who know me and have been a part of my community for some time, you will know that I've put in countless hours and work into building up my career into a place that I'm proud of. From the dedication toward...
There was an allegation by another creator who I do respect that this was shortcutting the amount of work they put in, the amount of sacrifice they make. That this was bypassing. This was a fast track to the top. If you look at how people are growing, obviously during Ultimate, that's going to be a good growth time for anybody streaming that. When we look at watch time, highest peak viewership, most popular, these are all different ways of breaking down data. These are all different ways of viewing how somebody streams. Now, when you go look at this and you look at the fastest growing, somebody who embeds or somebody who is not being a channel that people seem to click on and stick around will not get very many follower changes, as opposed to somebody who realizes, oh my gosh, I love this, I'm having a blast, and I want to come back here, even though I've never been here before, they will gain a lot of followers. And so if you have a widely discoverable event, or if you are new, or if you've been posting somewhere else, maybe you've been featured on a podcast or something like that, those are when you have really high follower growth changes. And when you aren't doing anything inventive or anything like that, and you're not sitting at the top of the directory, that's where that number tends to slow down. So embeds would mean that he's not growing here. So it does stop that organic growth. So I don't think it's fast tracking perpetual growth, because the moment that the embed turns off, you only get to keep the people who clicked on it and went there. You only get to keep the actual conversion. So you got highlighted, but you still have to do your job. And so right now, this is being refreshed as of right now. So obviously, this is going to be a lot of raiders because World First Ultimate's going on right now. So it's going to be a lot of raiders. But if you back this up to before Omega Ultimate went on, it would have been a healthier mix of a variety of creators. A variety of creators that are discoverable. Maybe they've been featured on something like Lulu or State of the Realm or something like that. Mog Talk. And so that can cause these big follower growth changes. But that's something going on here. Now, within the last 30 days, let's take a look at this fast tracker, this alleged skipper. He was live 280 hours. Now, I don't know if they count it like YouTube, where a month is a rolling 28 days, or if it's specific to the actual, it says December 26th to that, so it does look like it's in that kind of 30-day range. So 30 days, 280 divided by 30 is he is live on average 7 days a week, more than 9 hours. So I don't know what this kind of allegation of fast tracking is. If we zoom out to a year, and so as far as the allegation of fast tracking, that's not a very good description, right? It's like people that say Ashes of Creation is a scam. If you believe it's vaporware and it's never going to come out, that's fine. But the idea of a scam is that Steven Sharif is somehow taking people's money. And as of right now, I believe he personally is out like $30 million. So if it is a scam, it's not a very good one. So if this is a fast track, if this is a hustle, if this is him conning people, that he's not putting in the work, I will tell you, for somebody that has the lazy way to the top, He's not very good at it. Working over 9 hours every day, 7 days a week is not very lazy. Ren, if you had a way to the top, you know you can stream less, right?
This is only the things that you see live on streams and in Discords and YouTube or on social media. Then there's the networking, the amount of time that I spend live, and the countless sleepless nights working on my next step in my career. All of the
his goal is to publish 365 videos this year. He is live. Right now, Ultimate's going on, so that number's a little padded, but if I had to guess just off of memory, because Ren Kargani is one of the people within the kind of the top 40, and I keep an eye on most of the channels in the top 40. I would say that Ren is live on average somewhere between 215 and 260 hours on average. So right now is really only slightly above his norm relative to the total, as opposed to somebody like Rookery or Pyromancer that is, or even like Ponto that's live substantially less. Now their content as a result tends to be very, very high energy and very focused. He does have times where he's just working on his spreadsheet that updates the new damage numbers for some guide he's about to put out. It's not all teaching and collabing. He's live for a huge portion of his back end. And so the only argument against this is that people get mad that his view number looks too big. And that tells me that for some reason we have an EP measuring contest where that number is now indicative of his value. Keeping in mind, at the moment the embed turns off, it would go away. So it is very much like inflating something with air. It's not even comparable to steroids, because with steroids, you do retain some portion of that muscle gain from the increased hormonal activity. So there's no benefit here long term. Once the embed shuts off, that's it. And so that assumes that somehow that view total is actually causing people to make an action. So the only people that can get screwed, in my opinion, are advertisers. People, if you click on a big stream and you don't like it, you click off. You didn't give them money based on that. You didn't go, well, I'm going to decide where to use my Prime sub based on who has the most viewers. Like, I've never heard of that. And so I don't see how it screws the consumer. It may make them click through a few streams. Thanks to things like the ad incentive, I think a lot more people are running enough ads per hour. We're not really getting pre-rolls on the platform anymore, or at least I'm not. Keep in mind, if you are still getting pre-rolls at this point, that is because of choices that creator makes. Just saying, that's just an objective fact. So all it does is make them slightly more discoverable. But at the end of the day, they have to be doing something off stream to provide enough value to justify a website picking them. Because if Ren wasn't writing guides for them, why would they not align themselves with somebody bigger or somebody that would write guides for them? So it's not like free. Icy Veins offered this to him in trade for work he does off stream after 280 hours of being live, after working on a bank of YouTube videos, after pinging and things like collabs, and then in theory having some sort of life outside of this. So if he is hustling and fast tracking, he's not very good at it, because I have a feeling that he is probably, from the moment that he starts working, not thinking about it while he's out at dinner or taking a walk, actual time at work where he is unavailable to his family mentally or emotionally or both, I have to assume that he is looking somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 12 hours per day. At 10 hours per day, you're looking at 70 hours a week, and that is 36,000 hours a year. So if he is fast tracking to be disingenuous, to cheat people, you can do it for a lot less than 36,000 hours a year. Like, I just, of all the people to pick as the scapegoat for this being abusive, you could have picked somebody that was a 1 pixel embedder. You could have picked somebody that was embedding on unrelated websites. You could have picked somebody that was paying people for embeds, which I feel like would be paying for close to viewbotting, because I don't really, like, embeds are valuable, but I don't know how to assign a dollar number to it. So if you are paying, you're probably overpaying. I just, like, of all the people to pick to attack, I just think this is a weird one.
In all my time and all the jobs I've worked, streaming is definitely very different than anything I've ever done. It requires a lot of work beyond the 9 to 5 that you'd see in brick and mortar jobs. Some investments that you make today, you may not see fruition until a long time from now, or not at all. This goes for early partnership being a sustainable source of income, all the way to opportunities that may come a year down the line, a half a year down the line. None of what I do is to take a shortcut or to spit on others.
And anybody whose opinion of him changes, he can't control that. All he can do is decide the actions of today and then hope those create better opportunities to do better actions tomorrow. People's opinions change of you all the time. They change because you got to collab with somebody. They change because you got included in some list somewhere on some tweet. They change because something you said that they disagree with or that they do agree with. They change because somebody or something that you've previously aligned yourself with, it, be it a brand, be it another creator, be it a community member, be it an idea or a political affiliation, that something goes on with that, and now unrelated to you, you're now a piece of crap. And so like I get hate comments all the time from things that are not related to me. They have nothing to do with me, but because of something I've said in the past, or because of something I've been aligned with in the past, or because of a person that I've been alongside in the past, I am now terrible. And all you can do is move on. So I don't see how he would think like, yes, if people see my view numbers really high, they will like me. No, they won't. They might give you a chance based on that. They might go, what's this guy with 1,500 views? But if you are a moron the moment they click on the stream, or you're a jerk to people once they click on the stream, that's it. And it only takes like one bad thing, and then it lingers forever. The embed thing, I don't see how that suddenly buys him a bunch of positive will. And if anything, there's a whole bunch of people that now suddenly they dislike him because somebody else other than him explained embedding as view botting, and then they never went to Ren to ask his side of the story. And now it's the same. Now it's the same. And it's not the same. It's not. It's not botting.
I wanted to speak on the current situation to address misconceptions, assumptions, and give my stance on things. Of course, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I hope after hearing all of this, you will understand mine. I'm going to continue to work hard for everyone and do what I love to do, and thank you for hearing me out. Till next time, peace.
I think that the counterpoint to this is if you agree to be put on the Twitch front page, should you say no? Should they not allow raiders? There is an option in the back end of Twitch to disable the ability to be raided, because being raided is just pumping up your view numbers artificially. And then for the amount of time those people stick around, or if any lurkers are in there, now you're suddenly more discoverable because of something you did not earn. You did not do anything. So being raided, Annie Fuchsia is making an effort right now to take her enormous audience and raid streamers that are under 100 viewers. Making all of those fast-tracking, cheating, conniving, deceiving jerks, I guess? Like, that's the allegation. So, if it's deceitful to see your viewer numbers rise suddenly because of luck or good fortune or intentional practices on or off stream, so I will tell you, I have explained why Twitch does not view this as botting. Botting is something they absolutely will ban and enforce for. So it's not that they don't see it, they do see it. Remember, they see way more than they reveal to the creator, which is way more than they reveal to the viewer. When I'm viewing other people's channels, I have to rely on all those Twitch stats pages because I don't get to go see their dashboard. I only get to see my dashboard. Which means if you don't stream, which is the majority of the platform, you don't see any dashboards. So, raiders, embedders, promoting your stream over on places like Twitter, with clips or with links, promoting it on YouTube, all of those things cause your next stream, your next moment to be more elevated than it would have been on its own. And all of those things do nothing for a stream that happens a month from now. Nobody gives a crap about a month-old link. Nobody gives a crap about a month-old tweet, or you got rated a month ago, or you were embedded a month ago. All of that stuff fades. The only thing that lasts is the continued work you put in. You have to keep showing up and hustling over and over and over. There's nothing about this that's misleading. If people feel that Twitch should be better about if I want to go to a community and have a discussion, if I want to go in and see an active chat, then maybe that is an argument that Twitch's UI does not show me how many people are engaged versus not. So I think if anything, it is an argument that maybe there should be a smaller number next to the big number that tells you how many people are currently engaging. And then define what engaging means. And so lurkers in a world first race, let's say there's 50,000 people in a stream, but only 1,000 of those people are chatting. It should say 50,000 and in parentheses 1,000. Because if I want to have a discussion, there are things like podcasts and stuff like that that are known, or watching people progress very hard fights in MMOs that are known for having very little chat engagement relative to the total view number, as opposed to things like community streams, which might have lower total viewer numbers, but higher average engagement. They might have only 20 people watching, but 15 of those are literally in the game doing the same thing. And so it's very, very, very engaging on a much smaller viewer number. And so different streams have different tones and different feels. And so when you start to look at the sorts of streams that favor things like lurkers, which are people that actively chose to be on twitch.com or on their mobile app, but are not, they may not even have chat open. There are people that flag themselves as audio only listeners, because they're either trying to save on cellular bandwidth or it's second monitor content. They're not looking. They're only listening. In which case, if you were looking for somebody to have a conversation with, because maybe the streamer is in a position they can't be responsible, or you just like that, it would be nice to know that. And we could define that as like they are actively on an official Twitch app using chat within the last 60 minutes. Which means if it's chat being posted from another social media platform, that person doesn't count. If it's a person that's just lurking, they don't count. If it's a person that's embedded, they don't count. And so you would have this big number, and then you would have this little number. And the little number is very, 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 very small. Right now in this stream, there are 52 of you hanging out at this exact moment. And when I go look at chat, I bet it's 10 to 12 of you that are chatting. And so it would say 52-12. And obviously things like podcasts, progression, embeds, featured on the Twitch page, collabs with brands, events, those would all have ratios where the little number is probably somewhere around 1% of the big number, 5% of the big number. And on the other side of things, streamers that are very engaging, very helpful, and cause things in chat, like Llama Todd, who has all these fun emotes and stuff, and they request for people to say things, or when an inside joke happens with something like Xeno or Taliesin, that the chat just goes and it just takes off. When those sorts of things happen, you might say, hey, wow, that one feels more like a party, where the chat is just as much a part of the stream as the stream itself. And when that's the case, maybe you'd see those percentages rise. It'd be interesting to know how high those can go. When you get into streams of over 100 people, can those even be above 50%? I don't know. Where you get everybody to say something within the first 60 minutes and every 60 minutes after. But that's the argument here, not whether or not embed should be there, whether or not the number even says what it did. I think people just had the curtain pulled back to realize that the viewer number should not be the single determinant in who you watch. It never should have been. The number of people that download an MMO should not determine whether or not you like that MMO. The number of people that put out a review on Forspoken should not be the sole or even primary determinant in whether or not you enjoy Forspoken. The number of people who go see a movie on opening weekend or download a song or whatever should not determine if you enjoy it. It shouldn't. And all that's doing is telling you that anybody who feels that the viewer number tells them that the community they're engaged in is good and that somebody else's community is therefore bad or whatever, it's pulling back the curtain and saying viewer numbers don't matter. What matters is the creator having fun and are the people who are watching it having fun. It's why people like FFXIV, I had to go look on some other screen because I don't keep my viewer number in my immediate peripheral. I had to go pull it up in another tab because just like FFXIV talks about, I found that number does not help me and it might distract me. It does not help me. The viewer number does not matter because if you're here to lurk, you're welcome. I don't know about you. And if you're here to engage, I want to engage with you. And that's it. That's all it is. It doesn't matter how many there are. It doesn't matter how few there are. So all this says is that there are people that believe that that number is really meaningful for them. And I disagree with that as a premise. That number, the viewer number, is the number of people that Twitch believes might make them money. That's all it tells you. It doesn't tell you how many people like that person, how many people don't like that person, how right or wrong their views are, whether or not you'll have a good time watching them, how entertained they are at a particular moment. All it tells you is the number of people that Twitch believes there is some percentage chance will contribute money to the platform. That's it. And embedding makes that number larger because it makes the number of people that are likely to contribute money to the platform at any percentage chance. There might be individual users that Twitch could track it, like there's a 90% chance that they drop some money on Amazon this month, and there might be users that are just embed users that there is a 0.1% chance. But anybody with a percentage chance to increase the revenue on the platform counts. That's the exact same number of the way YouTube counts views. They only have to stay long enough into the video that YouTube thinks that they got shown an ad, and that's it. They count as a view. So a video with 1 million views that's filled with inaccurate information and a video with 1 view that is filled with accurate information, the view total only told you the number of people that clicked on it and stuck around long enough to make money. It had nothing to do with validity. It had nothing to do with entertainment value. View numbers are wildly unhelpful. As a matter of fact, from a revenue standpoint, since it's anybody with any percentage chance to make money, a viewer that pays a creator $10 every month in donations, and a viewer that just watches ads and only stays for the pre-roll and then bails are counted equally on that video. And so then you would say, okay, well then that at least tells me people with 1 million views make more money than people with 100,000 views. And that's not even true. I have had the chance to see the dashboards of creators substantially larger than myself who have been incredibly kind to give me that guidance. And even number of viewers on their Twitch stream, number of views per month on their YouTube channel are not necessarily the single best predictor of revenue. So even if I group it up and say it's a number that says the number of people they might make money across, that isn't even helpful in correlating with the amount of money that will add up to. So Twitch and YouTube isn't even reliant on just that number because it's not the best number. Because somebody that sticks around for 5 seconds and somebody that sticks around for 80 hours are not the same. So I don't see how this benefits Ren unless he thinks that these increased numbers are coming from people that he believes are going to like and eventually engage with Ren content. Which means he wants to be embedded on a website where he wrote the guides on content he knows during times that he is live with content about that same game running the same content that he put the guide out on. That is no different than being rated by somebody and welcoming them in and telling them about yourself. That is no different than tweeting out to people that already follow you on Twitter. That is no different than promoting yourself to people that already watch you on YouTube. All of that is saying people outside of Twitch should come join me here because I think I have something pretty cool to share and I think it directly appeals to you.